Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 7 o'clock in the morning on the 7th, and I got some things to cover here. So we're going to take a look at some things that are going on as far as the weather. Having my coffee, waking up. I hope everybody's doing the same. All right, so first thing we're going to cover is this convection outlook that's going across the Great Lakes region right here. We've got a slight risk for today that's going into effect, and this is for beginning around midday, going into later this evening and into the overnight periods, which this 2% marginal risk is actually going to continue, and it's going to shift over tomorrow for primarily this area right here, where it's going to cover everywhere from upstate New York right here, Vermont, Massachusetts, all the way down to New Jersey and things like that. So the whole thing is just going to shift over. We're not going to have, as far as I've seen so far, we're not going to have the slight risk tomorrow. But we do have that 2% marginal risk that's going to be over this general area all the way, you know what I mean, stretching down here. And I'm going to go over that a little bit more in detail here in a second. But what we're looking at is this system right here. And it has an outflow boundary line that's actually in between these right here, and with a cold front that's going to be pushing through. So this is a trough system that's going to be pushing through here. Some low-level moisture that's going to be ascending, going up there, and then some higher dew points. Convection levels are kind of increased right now with all that kind of going on, and it's just going to, it's going to actually develop a squall line and kind of push it through here, shifting all the way down to Illinois. That's going through here. There is a slight tornado risk. Primarily what we're looking at is wind. That slight risk is actually for the wind threat. So damaging winds is the primary threat with this. There is some hail concerned with it as well. So in these areas right here, there might be a little bit of hail attributed with these storms. For the most part, we're looking at severe thunderstorms and some hail threat. And there is a slight tornado risk as well. Tornadoes could be possible today in this area here. Mainly the 2% marginal risk is really where the tornado threat could be possible. But we're looking at it. A tornado or two cannot be ruled out. It's not a severely high risk for tornadoes. But damaging wind gusts is really the primary threat, and that's what that slight risk right here in this area is for. This is the primary area where you're going to have some damaging wind gusts and some things like that going on. So definitely, if you live in Michigan, if you live in these areas around here and around Chicago, they don't call it the Windy City for no reason, right? So today you're going to have some damaging wind gusts possible through that time frame. So if you live in these areas, definitely make sure that your home and your property and your family is safe today. With that oncoming wind threat and possibly hail threat, could have some damage to property and things like that. So hopefully that won't be the case here. Out here in Oklahoma, we got another 2% marginal risk right here. All right, so what's going on out here is that there is there's going to be some building thunderstorms that's going to be happening out there. Low-level moisture, out here you're getting CAPE levels that are a little bit higher than what we're getting out here, believe it or not. I mean, higher convection out here, but higher CAPE levels out here. So, we're looking at lowest CAPE levels up to 2,500 to 3,000 joules, which is pretty unstable. And you're seeing that instability in the atmosphere that's going to be building up here. But not a huge tornado risk out here, but it seems like we're going to have some building, possibly some severe thunderstorms that are going to be rising up into these areas right here into this marginal risk. And there is some hail threat associated with that as well. So there might be some hail dropping. So if you live out in the Midwest there, make sure the same thing. Make sure you have your property and your things safe. What's going on with that? And I mean, temperatures and dew points are still kind of staggering in some of these areas, and that's really going to, kind of shift up that threat for, severe thunderstorms and things like that. Now tomorrow, when this marginal risk shifts in the northeast out to the coast right here in this area, I would say damaging wind gusts is going to be the primary threat with that. If there is a tornado or two possible, it looks like, from what we can tell right now, this is tomorrow, and some updates might change as we get into we get closer to the event and the NAM models. But it looks like the tornado event might be a little bit on the lower side as far as the south. You're looking at Virginia, West Virginia, and parts of North Carolina. Maybe just, in northern North Carolina, that, you know what I mean? We're getting that damaging wind threat, but there, a tornado or two down here possibly could, might not be ruled out, you know what I mean? But up here in the north, you're looking at a damaging wind threat and some severe thunderstorms that are going to be passing through, especially when this front, that squall line is going to be pushed over, and you got that pressure that's kind of moving through there. Cape levels looking from 500 to 1,000 joules a cape. So definitely instability there, enough to get storms kind of moving. This is we got multicellular storms that are going to be kind of forming in both of these places that are just going to be kind of spawning up, and might have some training convection, which this is a chord front. So anyways, when you look at it, training convection is not uncommon with chord fronts that's going to be pushing through. Training convection means that you're going to have convection and storms that are going to be training, that's going to be moving through the area, and training means it's just like one after another, following the same path, you know what I mean, following the same routine as it pushes east out of the way. So there's just, one after another, doot, 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 like Morse code, just, popping through in the same manner, in the same pattern, and same everything. So that's really what they were kind of concerned about, is just, hitting one after another after another. So I'm hoping that it's not going to be as bad, you know what I mean, with those training storms kind of coming through. Maybe it's just the training convection and instability that's going through. There's probably going to be storms throughout the day. But the good thing about this is that in this area, there is some cloudiness that is going to be expected through tomorrow. You can see the clouds kind of, around this system right here, and that's going to limit a lot of the daytime heating. So with that limit to daytime heating, maybe there won't be as much instability with that. Maybe it'll actually limit some of the severe potential in these areas. I'm hoping that it does, you know what I mean? And this isn't, I'm not saying that it's a very high threat for tornadoes in these areas down here in the south or anything like that. It's just that one or two tornadoes cannot be ruled out, but definitely a damaging wind threat is really the primary threat here. And excuse me, in some of these areas you might, possibly have a little bit of hail here and there too. So, today and tomorrow, up in the Northeast, you definitely want to be weather aware. Just make sure you know what's going on in your area. Follow your local news station and follow instruction from them. Listen to what they're saying. You know what I mean? You'll be safe. All right, now moving to the hurricane. Oof, excuse me. Early in the morning. Moving to the hurricane over here, you can see all this. It's a Category 3 major hurricane that is moving through, and then it dissipates by tomorrow. It looks like to a Category 2. Even as a Category 2, they did fly the aircraft in there. They got a big C-130 that flies into the hurricanes and takes instrument data from inside the hurricane to see really what's going on with it. And they did fly it into the hurricane, and they found out it's a little bit more powerful than what they expected, than what they anticipated. So it's got a little bit of a jump in that power. So they were expecting it to make Category 4. It looks like on here that it never really did, but it's like teetering on the borderline of Category 4. I mean, it's pretty beefed. So all right, so through tomorrow it makes Category 2. Then it makes that hard turn going to Category 1 later on. And that's what I was talking about the other day, where it's going to be kind of going into those cooler temperatures, and I think that's going to limit its severity and its strength and start to dissipate it down. But, same thing as before. I mean, the Bahamas, you're set to take almost a direct hit by it. If anybody, I don't think anybody's watching from the Bahamas, but if you know what I mean. But the Bahamas is, set to take almost the direct hit, pretty dang close here. So they're going to have really bad surf problems there with high waves. On the East Coast, going through tomorrow, I would say tomorrow, let's see here. We're going through tomorrow. Let me see, today is Tuesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and then up in Thursday. That's when, let my radar catch up here, into Thursday. Yeah, Okay, so and then after that, it's gonna, it seems like it's gonna be moving pretty quick. But so today, tomorrow, and Thursday, I would say tomorrow and Thursday is probably the highest threat. So on the East Coast, I would say definitely don't be out on the water on these days because there's not a whole lot of severe potential that's going to be hitting these states, or anything like that. It's not coming near the United States, which is a good thing. So we shouldn't get too much effect from the hurricane, but the only thing that is a concern is on the East Coast states, the rip currents and the high surf, and things like that right on the coast. That's going to be the biggest threat with that. You don't want to be out on the water. Don't go swimming. Don't go to the beach that day because it just could be life-threatening. It could be dangerous. So that's what I would recommend with that. And then, it's going to be dissipating and weakening and then moving back out to sea up into the North Atlantic, except for Canada right here in Newfoundland. Newfoundland is said half of Newfoundland is going to take pretty much a direct hit by it. You know what I mean? And we're looking at that St. John's is right there on the center line. So, yeah, if like I said in my last video, if you know anybody in Newfoundland, give them a warning, give them a heads up, that you got to, by that time, Category 1 hurricane that's going to be coming to St. John's. So that's a little bit of a worry for them, We want to keep everybody safe here. But, all right, let's take a look at some other things. So this is our Storm Prediction Center outlook. So you can see that 2% marginal risk that's over Michigan going into Illinois, stretching all the way down there. That is for the tornado threat. That's the tornado threat area right there where it could be, tornadoes could be possible today through that as well. This is the current outlook of what's going on here. They get that marginal risk that's left over from yesterday into today, but that's going to change as of tomorrow, I believe. Oops, let me hit this. Yeah, so click to see valid 1Z, 12Z day convection 1 outlook. So that's what we're looking at today. So today you got that 2% marginal risk. No tornado threat with that, but you do have that wind threat with those storms that are right here. But those have moved out of that area. They're moving out of Wisconsin and Minnesota and all that right now, and they're going into that Michigan area here. That's why they jumped over that convection outlook right there. So this is, an old outlook. We're already kind of past this. It's still kind of lingering over Wisconsin. So Wisconsin, you got to worry about it for a little bit longer, and then it brushes up into here, and that's our current convection outlook. This is that outlook for tomorrow. That marginal risk, so you do have a tornado risk. They're thinking it's going to be more on the southern end, and that's when, that's where the highest convection is probably possible for some of that tornado risk associated with that. But that whole entire area is for that 2% marginal risk for some tornadoes that could be possible through the day. This is that heavy wind threat that's going on. So you got that high wind threat that's stretching all the way into, Vermont, New York, all the way down to northern North Carolina. So you can see that gusty, heavy wind threat that's going on. And even though it says that less than 5% hail, hail still could be spotty, but possible in some areas. So we just want to be mindful of that. So tomorrow is just definitely a weather aware day. Just, keep things, keep your phone alerts on, and make sure you're watching the news, and pay attention to what's going on so that you can keep your family and your property safe. All right, so taking a look at the current atmospherics, then you can see all the fronts and the low pressure system that's moving through the Midwest. Now you can see these dew points still pretty low in the south, but we still got like 40s and 50s dew points up here in the Northeast. 60s around, the Midwest that's kind of pushing through. Now you can see that cape and that instability that's up here that is moving into this area right here. That's going to be thrusting that instability into where these storms are coming to. And so that's going to make the atmosphere a little bit more unstable, a little bit more favorable for those severe thunderstorms to roll out. Got that wind shear that's going to be moving up. Today and tomorrow, wind shear is going to be beyond 35 knots. So we're looking at 60 knot wind shear that's going up here. It's like 50 or 60 knot over here. So we got that heavy wind shear that's going to be rolling through with this upper system trough here, and that's going to create a lot of that wind threat that's going on. Surface vorticity isn't too bad, but now you're seeing a little tiny bit of that supercell development that's going to be happening here. Not too much supercell development is really expected, even though some of these storms, like especially down in Oklahoma, I was looking at that multicellular system that's going to be popping up here. So supercell composite is there. It isn't zero, but it isn't really tremendously high either. All right, we're not seeing any tornado parameter right now. That is a good thing. We want to keep it like that. We're not seeing very, very high levels of tornado possibility right now. But this is the thing that you got to worry about. Got a little bit of helicity going on, and that's going to give those storms the energy that they need in order to really pound out some power, you know. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now, is just making sure, you know, paying attention to the helicity. All right, LCL height. Then we get these 750s and 500s that are going to be pushing through. And that's just going to aid that instability a little bit more with that that ascending moisture that's coming from the low-level moisture in this trough. So, alrighty. Pivotal weather. This is our current hazards right now. This is where our heat hazards are at. They've been talking about this a lot on the weather. If you're out there in the west, you know, they're talking about the air quality that's going on with the fires and everything going out there, and the drought and the temperatures. Real dangerous situation. So I hope everybody stays safe out there. I don't know how to deal with that, you know, because that's not really my specialty. But man, I feel for you people out there. It is it's a crazy situation to live around, you know. All right, taking a look at some of the models that we got. I'm gonna actually switch to HRR. I like that model, and we're gonna go to composite reflectivity. There we go. All right, so not too much information. We only got a few slides to look at, but this is where this storm currently is at over Wisconsin, and as it's going to be moving into Michigan. And I haven't looked at this model yet, so this is the first time that I will be looking at it, so there's no surprises on this. So I'm going to look at it as I'm going along with you guys here. You can see that line that's kind of forming there. That's a real straight line. A little bit of it looks like there's a little bit of notching in there. Not too bad, but you know, it could be just because it's not close enough really for me to see in detail. But it looks like there's a little bit of bowing and notching in there. But it looks like that squall line is forming right about then. So let's take a look just ahead of that squall line and see what the atmosphere looks like. Alright, so we got marginal severe risk. Got the cap is pretty broken. Got a lot of moisture that's going up into the atmosphere. Not other than that, not too bad. The wind is, you know, it's kind of jumbled down here. So getting a high wind threat, you know, and that's possible, but a little bit of disorganization in that wind field, so that might limit the potential for some severe things like tornadoes and things like that. Let's move up a little bit higher in the line. And we're seeing just about the same thing. Alright, so a little bit of a marginal severe threat. And then it seems like this line right here might be the train. It might be kind of moving into what we're seeing as far as tomorrow, with a little bit of that training convection. Maybe one's just kind of, you know, following along this line. Alright, now we got a tornado risk that's going on. It's a low-end tornado risk. It says significant tornado, significant hail, that's possible. Cap is pretty broken down here. LCL height isn't really that low though. I mean, I've seen it a lot lower, but I've seen, yeah, I guess I've seen it higher too. So you see that moisture that's going up in the atmosphere there, so it's staying wet, staying warm. And then you can see this big line that just kind of forms straight as an arrow. And that is kind of the worry that's going on. Marginal tornado risk. Now you're seeing these wind fields kind of straighten out a little bit. You see that? It's I mean, it's not the highest, but it's not the lowest either. You're seeing those really straight wind fields that are just kind of nice and organized, and they're flowing. That's kind of what we look for with any kind of tornado risk or associated with that. That line kind of thickens up, and usually these things happen a little bit on the southern end of these lines. So I'm going to click it right here ahead of that southern end of the line, and got a wide cap on it, and not much of it, not much of a cap actually. Significant hail, so you got some hail possibilities that are definitely in there. And then wow, look at that thing just beef right up, big straight line arrow like that. That squall line that's going to be forming there. So really stable wind field right here. Got some severe risk with this. And you can start to see that LCL just lowering down, getting a little bit worse. So that's going to assist in, and that's the last frame that we have actually. Let's check way down here in Indiana. And severe risk, wide cap, just wide loose cap. Stable wind field, significant hail, supercell development, a little bit on the weak side, but it's still there. Alright, so looking at that, let's go to the NAM model now. We're right here on the 7th. So this is going to pick up where we left off. The NAM usually makes things look a little bit worse, but so, I mean, if you see this and there's like staggering, unbelievable tornado levels, don't get freaked out because sometimes it always looks a little bit worse in the HRR model. So we're going to check down here in Illinois again. Yeah, see what I'm saying? So significant hail threat that's going on there, wide cap on it, and it says that there is a tornado threat associated with that. And it always, yeah, the NAM always does that. It always looks a lot worse. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be a horrible day for you guys. So that definitely don't let that be something that is gonna freak you out here. So this, so it has this whole attributed squall line that's going to be moving through, and then it starts to weaken. It looks like. So this is on the 8th at the 00Z hour. So then it starts to break up. Let's see if it continues on like that. And then it forms another squall line, a little bit, not really a squall line, just like a, you know, isolated line of storms, it looks like. Yeah, and then you're getting that line that kind of rejoins and regathers around that area, and that is our threat for tomorrow. Alright, so let's check up here in New York. Not much there. So let's go back one frame. Let's see what the atmosphere is doing here in central New York. So it does say a tornado threat, but lower end, stable wind field though. So definitely some wind threat that is definitely going to be present there. Let's look a little bit further south. As we get into here, we're looking through Pennsylvania. We'll check Pennsylvania here. Tornado threat, weak, significant supercell. Got some cap that's broken, a lot of moisture going up into the air, and a stable wind field. And you're getting that little curve with the wind field here, though, too. So that is probably going to tell me that surface vortices is going to be a little bit more supportive in that area. And then as it kind of moves through, let me see here, top of Virginia, we'll look at what the atmosphere is doing right here on the border. Marginal tornado threat. But about the same thing. You're getting the kind of the same condition throughout, really, is what it is. And down here in the southern tip of New York, looking at that tornado threat again, a whole lot of moisture. And you're getting that curve there with that stable wind field. Alright, so, and then it just kind of seems like it teeters and it just kind of dissipates and moves out to sea. Okay. So that's kind of what we're looking at for today and tomorrow. You can see that that storm just kind of forming into that really heavy isolated line right there. There's this big squall line, and anytime you got that bowing that's going on, and you see in these storms, there's a little bit of a straight line and a bow in that, and it's just kind of like a, you know, like a bowing factor. Well, just ahead of that line, anytime that you look at it anywhere, you're going to have those heavy winds. Regardless of tornado threat or anything like that, you're going to have really, really heavy winds ahead of that bowing. And that's just what that means. And that's from the front, just pushing it through, and you're getting that pressure just pushing the whole storm through, and it's just really moving through quick, and you get really heavy winds ahead of that bowing line. All right, National Hurricane Center, we're going to go to Larry now. And Larry, maximum sustained winds 105 to 120 mile an hour gusts, 958 millibars pressure, which is around 28.33 inches, something like that, of pressure. So, yeah, a little bit of low pressure going on there. And it's moving at about 9 knots, 10 miles an hour. It actually slowed down a little bit, and I think a lot of that has to do with the front that's here. That's kind of pushing it, you know what I mean, and keeping it kind of where it is. And I think that might be the reason why it curves the way that it does. You know, there could be a lot of reasons for it. But the one thing that I wanted to show you guys is this again. And you can see Larry right down there. Right down there. There he is. Alright, and he is going to be moving like this and then going over St. John's. That is his track. So you can see him in those warmer waters right now. And he's going to be sitting there at Category 3 until he gets through here. He's going to start dissipating to Category 2 around this area where he's not getting that organization anymore. It kind of gets a little bit more disorganized. You can see that wind pattern right here. And I think that wind pattern is going to have a lot to do with its track, where he's just kind of curving there. That wind pattern is he's just kind of following in that stream. And that's kind of what we're seeing here, what it looks like. That being said, with the waves, oops, currents, let me look at the waves here. What did I do here? Oh, crap. Sea surface temperature. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. So you can see the waves that are kind of pushing through here. You can see all the waves that are really disorganized and actually rotating because of Larry. But then you can see those waves just kind of pushing out to the east coast. Let me zoom in a little bit. And you can see that we're getting heavier waves along this east coast ridge right here from Florida all the way up through North Carolina. And some of these places where you can see these really lighten up right here. And those are those heavier waves and those rip currents that are going to be possible. And that's what I was talking about earlier, that these shores, even, you know, out here in the Bahamas, you know, and in the Caribbean, those waves are really heavy right now in some places. So this is going to be something that you're going to have to want to be careful of. If you're near the coast, just definitely be careful of those waves. Don't be out on the water. It's not a safe time in order to go and have fun at the beach. Until Larry passes, and I mean, even up here, right there, we're getting a little bit of those heavier waves. You see that? Try to zoom in on that and look at that. So this is kind of the thing we were talking about here. So there is some rip current possibilities that are going on in here. You got waves going this way, and you got these coming in here, and then this kind of patch of heavier waves that's hitting the coast up here. And that looks to be, I can't see the states really, but off the coast of New York there, it looks like, and well, Massachusetts, yeah, Massachusetts is right here. Alright, so, you know, that's that area where you're getting those heavier waves, and it's all a result, you're seeing it down here too, it's all a result of the hurricane just gonna, you know, pushing the water out of the way. So yeah, through this week, you know, until this thing kind of passes through and starts to dissipate, you know, definitely not a time to be down at the beach and trying to vacation while you can, you know, right? Alright, so that's a basic overlook of everything that we got going on as far as weather situations here. So I hope everybody stays safe, and I'll do another update tomorrow on the severe weather possibilities for tomorrow based on what the National Weather Service updates, because they probably will do another update probably this afternoon. And then they usually do one early in the morning sometime, somewhere around 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning, something like that. So yeah, I'll update you guys further on what's going on tomorrow. And I hope everybody stays safe and have a great day.